All right. So we are going to just do a little recap of what we've done this week. And this is actually 3 notes. Okay, so I'm just going to go over quickly diamond, and then we're going to do a little GCF at the end. And I'm going to add in a little bit different GCF than what we've done before. So when we are doing diamond, remember it multiplies to the top and adds to the bottom. So when you are doing x multiplied to get to x squared, remember it always has to be x times x. And then we look at our numbers. Our numbers would be 2 times 1. And this doesn't work out again. So this means this has to be a negative. So when that is a negative, that means that the 2, come on, go away. The 2 is negative, or that means the 1 is negative. So you add to a negative 1 or you add to a positive 1. Well, we want a negative 1, so that means this is negative 2, and that's 1. So next one. We know it has to be x and x. 4 is 2 times 2 or 4 times 1. Well, 4 times 1 gives you 5. So 4x and 1x. All right, see if you guys can do this one on your own before, so pause it and see if you can do it. I really do mean pause. Okay, so 2 and 7 equal 9. 2 times 7 equals 14. So you know that your two sides are 2x and 7x. So that is the review of diamonds. Hopefully we're getting it a little bit. If not, go back and watch the other video. So now we're going to review GCF. Remember, GCF is your greatest common factor. So, like 4 is 2 times 2. This is 2 times x, so they both have a 2, so you can take out a 2. So that would be x and 2. Okay? Here they both have an x. Here they both have a 3, so you're left with x and negative 1. Okay? So now I'm going to look at, we're going to do the same thing, but in a different format. So, and this might be, you might have done this in class, but this is just a little review. So if you see a box like this, so I want to think about, and if you need to put it in here, is 3 times x, 3 times 2 times x times x. So then you can see exactly the different GCF. So you see a 3 and I see an x. So 3x is your GCF. Here, whoops. So here is 2 times x times x, and this is 5 times x. So the only commonality is an x. So your GCF is an x. Now, here's a vertical box. It's going to be the same thing. 6 times 2, 6 times x. And the reason why I didn't go lower, I could have done 3 times 4. And 6, I could have done 2 times 3 and all of that. But if you see that there's a 6, you can easily do a 6 because then they both have a 6. And that is your GCF. And you don't need to go lower than that. you can if you want, but if they both have the same number, then that's good. Like this one has a 2, so I know this is going to be 2 times 5 times x, and this is 2 times x times x. So that means they both have a 2 and an x. So your GCF is 2x. Now, here's the tricky. We are going to do both ways. So like I did across, we're going to do that. So I'm going to do 3 times x, and then 2 times x. So that means your GCF on the top is going to be x. Now here is 3 times 2 times x. So I see a 3 and I see an x. So your GCF up and down is 3x. Now you're going to do it the same way, but again, we are going to go up and down and side to side. So if you go side to side, we are going to do, they both have a 2. Now if you look up and down, they both have a 2. So there is my GCFs. So I want to look at this way and this way. And then I want you to look this way and this way. So you actually do it 4 times and you get 4 answers. Okay. So let's do that same thing here. So now this is, since I see 10s, I'm just going to go jump to 10 times 10. It's just a lot easier when you already know another letter. So this is -1 times 10 times x, -1 times 10 times x, and this is just 1 because that's all there is. So now let's go across first. So I see a 10 and I see an x. So this is just 10x. Now I'll go across again and all I see is a 1. It's not negative, so they both don't have a negative. They both don't have an x, so that's it. Now up and down, so 10 and x, so this is 10x, and this is 1. So there we go. All right. Now, if you were doing this at home and not like a review looking back and doing it, if you're doing this at home, so all my B kids, I want you to pause it and see if you can do the same thing for these 2 problems. I'm going to keep going because there is a time limit on these videos. So, -1 times 2 times x. And if you don't need to do all of this work, you do not have to. Sometimes it might be helpful. That's it. Okay. So across, I only see an x. Here I only see a 2. Here I see an x. There I see a -2. So you see how they both have a negative and they both have a 2. So here is another one. You know what? Because the 12 is 4 times 3, and there's a 3 on the bottom. -1 times 3, and this is -1 times x. I'm just going to leave this as 4 because there's already a 4, so I don't have to go smaller. Now, if you went 2 times 2, then you have to note that 4 is 2 times 2 over by the 12. So they both have a 4x. They both have a -1. Up and down now, they both have an x and they both have a 3. So there is a little review of GCF. Hopefully